Today I want to explore why self-awareness may be the one key ingredient that you're missing when it comes to your transformation, in whatever area of your life that may be. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host Daniel James, a mindset and high performance coach. My job is to help you get more confidence, clarity and control. And if you're new here, welcome. So let's dive straight in. For me, change isn't about doing more. Because let's just think about this. If we're stuck and we're struggling right now and people say, you just need to do more, you need to do more, you need to do more, you should be doing more. If we're doing more of the wrong thing, we're going to be sending ourselves further down the path which isn't serving us. So this is then where self-awareness comes in, because we need to start to see things more clearly, because when we can see things more clearly, we can then make better choices. And that for me is what we struggle with. We've got that best version of ourselves, and we've got our thoughts, we've got our beliefs, we've got our programs, and sometimes they get intertwined. And for most of us, we can't differentiate between the two. And we're kind of walking around just reacting to things. We're not responding, we're reacting, and we're stuck on this autopilot. So I want to break down three sort of key areas that can help you snap out of all autopilot and get yourself into a place of control. So the first thing to realize is that, number one, self-awareness is the foundation to personal growth. If you want to grow in whatever capacity that is, again, whether it's your relationships, whether it's business, whether it's financially, whatever it is, self-awareness is the key thing. But the full word, self-awareness. A lot of times when people come to work with me, they want to have a better relationship with a partner, or they want to improve their relationship with work. But you are the common denominator. And a lot of the times we're walking around trying to control other things outside of ourselves. And we say, well, when this happens, then my life will be better. But that's not really how life works. We can't control these external things. All we can do is control the inputs. And if your inputs aren't great and you're still doing more of the same, we're going to continue to keep getting the same results, which is why self-awareness is key. And again, the growth here is whatever you want it to be. And for me, growth is a continual thing. You kind of grow, and once you've grown, you gain more awareness of things you didn't know, which then leads to you growing again. So for me, it's a game that never really ends. But the one thing we want to do with this self-awareness is we're developing it through honest, non-judgmental understanding of ourselves. Keyword here, non-judgmental. But we have to be honest. A lot of times when I'm working with people, one of the frustrating things when I'm getting through the first sessions with them is they're not being honest with themselves. And because they're not being honest with themselves, they then can't be honest with me. And so only once they drop that mask, once they drop that act, and they start to become a little bit more vulnerable, that's when we can really start to make some change. But it has to be done from no place of no judgment. Because once you become aware of some of these things, the thoughts that you may have about yourself, the beliefs you've created about yourself, or you've absorbed from somebody else. Maybe when you were growing up, somebody said something to you and maybe they didn't really know you, or they didn't believe in you, or they maybe were going through their own struggles and they placed those onto you, and you just absorbed these lies and accepted them as truth. Because we need to gain an understanding of our feelings, or how we're feeling, because if we're feeling inadequate, we're not going to take 100% committed action. We're going to hedge our bets because we're afraid of failing. And this then creates more patterns of the same, which is why we end up in the same kind of relationship. So with the same kind of person, they just look slightly different. We're showing up the same way. We start great. Every new relationship, we're dating, thinking, yeah, this one's going to be different. You learn a few things that you could have done better before. But then we start to get comfortable, you're right back into those old habits again. How about your decision making? Again, we need to become aware. What kind of process do we go through when it comes to decisions? Because if we keep making the wrong decisions, something's not quite right there. Again, it could be even around money. What are our patterns and our beliefs around money? Because if we're not aware of it and we're not addressing it, we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. You've heard me talk about this before. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So are you willing to, first of all, have that really honest, non-judgmental conversation with yourself? Because if you're not, nothing's going to change and you're going to get more of the same. So the second thing I want to talk about with this is present moment awareness. So for me, present moment awareness is breaking free from autopilot, because that's what we're in. We've got this subconscious programming that we're just walking around completely unaware of, and we're just stuck repeating the same patterns. And what happens is something happens and we react to it rather than responding. When we react to something, that's on autopilot. That's our subconscious kicking in, bam, this is what we're going to do. And how many times have you got into a heated argument and straight away, like, oh, I should not have said that, or I couldn't have done that? That's because we're on autopilot. We're not really being present in the moment. What we want to do is just create some space. So before we take that action, can we just take a pause to separate from our feelings and start to become aware of our thoughts, what we're actually feeling, and more importantly, here's the key thing: what is the outcome that I want? Because when we're reacting, we don't get the outcome that we want. And many times we give the other person ammunition to throw actually against us. So what we want to do is respond. And that response comes from that gap. When our emotions are getting high, we just pause, we take a step back, we gain the awareness. What's my thoughts on this? How am I feeling on this? What do I want to get out of it? Now, again, it's done a lot quicker than that, but that's the art, because the more you practice this away from those situations, the more easily and available it will be to you in those situations. You don't practice these things in the moment. You've got to practice them outside of these situations. And by doing this and getting ourselves off autopilot, we start to build that emotional regulation. We start to become aware of our emotions. We're asking ourselves, rather than just saying blanket things like, oh, I'm angry. Okay, well, why are you angry? What's going on? Do you feel let down, bitter, humiliated? What is it? Get more specific about your feeling, how you're feeling, because the more specific you can get, the more you can then do something with that information. Once we start to become aware of our emotions, we can start to then regulate them. But we first need to gain awareness of how it is that we're actually feeling. But it's that power of pause. Just pause. Just relax. And I used to be a bugger for this, especially when it came to public speaking. I didn't used to want to pause. But the more that I could just pause and sit in that pause, it allowed me to think, okay, well, what am I going to say next? What's the audience response to what I've just said? Where do I want to take it next? We can only do that from the pause. If you're just going a million miles an hour, you're going to you're reacting everywhere, and you don't get the outcome that you want. And the final point on this, before I give you some actionable things that you can do to gain more self-awareness, is talking about discovering your blind spots. That's what this is all about. And you discover your blind spots through journaling, maybe reflecting, and also getting feedback from other people that you trust. So again, if you're in a very loving relationship, you trust your partner, and they keep giving you the same feedback over and over and over again, or here's the key thing, giving the same feedback that previous partners have given you, that is a pattern, and that's something you need to work on. Or maybe it's a work colleague or a friend, your best friend, and they're giving you feedback, and there's a lot of common denominators of what they're saying. That's what you want to work on. When it comes to reflection, we spoke about this formula before. Pain plus reflection equals progress. When we're getting this feedback, when we're trying to discover these blind spots, don't sit in the pain. The truth will hurt you, but it will never harm you. Hurt is temporary, harm is long-term. So when you do get this information, don't just sit there in the pain. Reflect. Ask yourself the questions. We're going to go over a few in a second, because that's then how you make progress. You want to gain awareness of these beliefs that you have, maybe some biases that you have, or maybe just these patterns that you're running on autopilot. Because the more you become aware, the more you can do something about it. Because you can't change something that you're not aware of. So here are two really powerful questions that you can ask yourself that's going to help you gain a bit more self-awareness in situations. The first one, I love this. I say this to my clients all the time, about you want to deal with facts and not stories. So for you, what story am I telling myself about this situation? And is it definitely true? Because a lot of the times when it comes to our biases and our patterns, we slightly twist and edit things to match our biases and our patterns and our preferences. So rather than looking at the story that we've told ourselves, what are the actual facts? Not our opinion, what are the facts? Deal with facts, because facts are the key. Number two, ask yourself, what am I trying to prove or trying to avoid in this situation? Because this will then help you uncover some hidden motivations behind the action that you're taking or not taking. Try those two questions on yourself, and maybe drop down in the comments and let me know how you get on with them. And if you think somebody else can benefit from this episode, don't forget to share it with a friend. Help us to spread the word to help as many people as possible. Until next time, take it easy.